Okay, I think we will start. Welcome, everybody. My name is Peter Arason or Peter Arason. I'm from the Icelandic Lean Institute, uh, and I'm pleased and honored to introduce you to Morten Høvring, who is an employee at a company called Marel. Marel is originally an Icelandic company, but it's an international company at the moment, fairly big with operations across the globe. Uh, they have been on a very interesting journey, or maybe many interesting journeys, but one of them is very interesting that I've been a little bit attached to is within global finance. They have been looking at continuous improvements and how to start embedding this way of thinking into the finance world. And as maybe many of you know that have been working with Lean is that sometimes it can be a tricky thing to talk to people in finance about those things. But my experience was that this was actually a very interesting cooperation, and they have done a lot of very interesting things. So without further ado, I will just ask you, Morten, to take over and tell us a little bit about your journey.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. And welcome, everybody. Yeah, very happy to be here and to introduce you to what we have been working on and what we are still working on. We're still early in our journey, so to speak, on continuous improvements within finance. But I will just take you through the journey and where we are right now. Just a little bit first about Marel, where I am working. I've been working for the company for 25 years. Currently, my position is business controller within finance. Marel is a leading global provider of advanced processing systems, software and services to the fish, meat, and poultry industries, in addition to the newly acquired business of pet food, aquafeed, and plant-based proteins. Our vision within Marel, that is a world of where quality food is produced sustainably and affordably. Our values are unity, excellence, and innovation. So that is everything we are doing within Marel are centered around these three values. A little bit about the industries. Now it's mentioned up here is 3 industries, with that is basically now 4 industries with the newly acquired business as mentioned. The revenue distribution in 2021 was 47% within poultry, 38% within meat, and 12% within fish. And as Peter mentioned, we are a global company with 7,000 plus employees and 1.3 billion euros in revenues in 2021. Just to give you a picture of who are some of the customers of Marel, but that is basically global food processors or food process around the globe. The vision for continuous improvements within finance, that is to have continuous improvements as part of the culture or as part of the DNA in finance. In order to reach that, we want to train employees in finance to understand the basics of lean and the tools behind that, in order to secure that we focus on continuous improvements and that we have a great focus on waste elimination. We really want to provide some structure in order to embed the improvements within finance. Then we also find it very important to empower and to stimulate engagement through the focus on continuous improvements. At the end, we really would like initiatives to be driven sustainably and autonomously, meaning that we would at some point in time really like to be in the position that our teams around the globe are having, like said, this is a culture, so they just do focus on continuous improvements on their own and not facilitated by you could say by global or regional functions. So then we are very much inspired by the thinking of Paul Akers and also by the advices we've received from Peter, who has been our trainer, which I will get a bit back to. But we're very much inspired by Paul Akers and the 2-second lean, meaning focusing on the small incremental improvements. Focus on improvements every day in what we're doing. Everybody focus and be focusing what is within your own circle of control. So by doing so and by focusing the small incremental improvements on a daily basis, that will lead to an great achievement over time, like we see the exponential curve in the graph. What is in our view the key to obtain the vision we've defined? That is training. That is the focus on the small incremental improvements as said. Then it is to do this on a very frequent basis and to have everybody who's involved doing it. It is practicing is very important. Collaboration is also essential, and then of course management support is also one important requirement for being successful in implementing continuous improvements. A little bit about the why. Within our company, and we are probably not unique when it comes to that, at least not within global companies, I guess, that is that we have different ways of working within our company. We have been growing a lot, both organically but also from acquisitions. Meaning that also in finance we have different ways of solving the same assignment across the different teams across the different countries. We have a lot of good local ideas and knowledge that we really would like to benefit from, and then we adjust everybody. We are in a changing world, not only within our, you could say, micro environment of our own companies, but definitely on the macro level, we are in a very changing world. And I think also by having the focus on continuous improvements will also help all of us to achieve our targets in this in a better way in this changing environment. The future state we've defined, that is that we really want to achieve finance excellence by and benefit from a structured way of approaching the an optimized way of working across our entities, and through a culture and a proactive mindset of continuous improvements. So that's the future state. A little bit about the what and the how. Yeah, we want to apply a standard and proven approach. We want to introduce a common language. That's also why we chose lean. Yeah, we want to stimulate the improvements, as I already mentioned, to create a culture of improvements and a culture of excellence as well. Then we want to delegate authority to initiate the improvements locally and globally in our different finance teams. The how, I think we this was actually what we phrased at the very early stage, which is, yeah, it's more than a year ago when we formulated the how basically. So now we can also reflect a little bit when we go further in the presentation. But yeah, we wanted to apply a light version of lean to achieve what we have defined. We want to keep it simple. We wanted to test the approach on a pilot project, both in terms of in terms of training, but also in terms of a specific improvement case. We want to focus on the most value adding improvements. So yeah, applying the 80-20 rule. We want to run the initiative on a broader level than just a pilot if we were successful with the pilot. We also wanted to team up with, you could say, our global process owners and process experts within finance. And then we wanted to involve some professional expertise to train our participants, both in the, you could say, in the pilot projects, and then if we decided to move on, then in the further journey. And we were so fortunate to have a connection to Peter, and made an agreement with Peter to lead us through this journey from a knowledge transfer perspective. So that was what we did. Yeah, and in case of a positive outcome of our pilot, then we would of course decide on the next steps. So I think this is a little bit late, looking a little more than a year back. So what activities have we initiated? If we look back a year from now, we were in the execution mode of our pilot. We had a group of 12 people undergoing a training defined by Peter, of course, with input from Marel as well, on what we define as lean light, including some of the tools. Value stream mapping was one tool we focused quite a lot on, and then we, during this phase, which was basically more or less 3 months or over the entire fourth quarter of 2021, we also worked on the theory we learned on a specific case, improving a specific process within finance at Marel. Then in first half of this year, we've been working on implementing the improvements we identified during the pilot. We also, at the same time, we were developing the concept because we found the pilot very useful, so we decided to roll out the concept to a broader audience within finance in Marel. So we worked on that in Q1 of this year. Then in Q2 and Q3, we rolled out the next wave, so to speak, which was the first 2 group of additional colleagues, in total 23 team members, who was undergoing a, you could say, a condensed version of what the pilot team was undergoing last year. Following the rollout, we have initiated morning meetings in as pilots within our teams in Denmark, in Iceland, and in Slovakia. So we did that. We initiated that around a month ago with these teams mentioned up here. And then for next year, we will continue with our rollout to a broader audience. For the time being, we have around additional 40 to 45 colleagues who have signed up for the program. So in total, we will end up having around 80 people within finance introduced to this. A little bit about our approach for rolling out what we call the condensed lean light training. That is built up around relatively short workshops, knowledge transfer workshops, which we have defined together with Peter. First one is on lean basics, it's on waste, it's on value creation, and then we have a point which is not directly related to lean, that's more related to collaboration, it's more related to communication, I would say. That is what we call the persona map. That is actually, we ask each team member within the training to present themselves through a persona map, in order to make sure that the members or the participants, they know each other. We have participants in the training groups, some from the same locations, but we have also from different locations from different countries. So we also see this as a very, very good opportunity to do some team building and to do some networking, because that's also an important element in knowledge sharing as we see it. Then we ask the participants to do a little bit of homework. That is to read Paul Akers' book 2-Second Lean. We ask them to prepare an improvement video themselves in order to identify an improvement and then to document the improvement. Then we do what we call a homework session, a shorter session of around 1.5 hours, where we go through more persona maps. We go through the improvement videos, share that, both to get feedback, but also to learn from some of the specific examples. I would say in this phase, it's more to get comfortable with doing an improvement video and the approach, and then you could say the added value is of course that we will also benefit from the actual content of the improvement. Then we do or Peter he does a quiz on the content of the book, just to also to have we want to have a fun element. It is fun, all of it, but also to have a little bit of a challenge, you could say, a fun challenge as part of the training as well. Then we have what we call our knowledge transfer session 2, where we focus on continuous improvement, we focus on lean and standardization, we focus on tips and tricks for the daily meetings or for the morning meetings, and then we also do the persona maps. That's the knowledge transfer part, you could say, and then we move into the practice part, where we have the daily meetings. We are relatively, you could say, we don't have a very strict approach on. Now it says daily meetings does not necessarily need to be every day. If it's decided to be every second day, that's also perfectly fine. But it needs to be frequent meetings that we are having, and short meetings of maximum 15 minutes. And the purpose of that is to discuss waste. It is to discuss improvements done. It is to share knowledge. It's also to get to know each other. And these daily meetings are within the forum of the country's specific teams we have. In some countries we have more locations, so we gather teams from the different locations within these morning meetings. So, but I'll get a little bit back to the concept of our morning meetings. That is actually what we have. What I have here is a lot of details. I don't want to go into all the details, but as I mentioned, we have country-specific meetings for our business and our finance controllers. In the pilot we are doing in Denmark and in Norway, we do it to start with twice a week. It's as said a max of 15 minutes. And we really want to foster the mindset and the cultural change that we are working on, and to maintain the constant focus of on the improvements, train, seeing waste, and then of course also to do knowledge sharing as mentioned. Then we want to also to have what we call sub-regional meetings, meaning that we will have in the sub-region is, for example, the Nordics, where we have we've the activities or sites in Denmark, Iceland, and Norway, that we want those teams to meet and to exchange knowledge, and also to do some further training and knowledge transfer on continuous improvements. We want, whenever we further expand to more participants, then we want to have regional meetings as well. And then at the end of the day, we want to reach a point where we do global meetings on continuous improvements with our global colleagues within finance and business control. Yeah, a little bit. We've prepared a quite simple package to the teams regarding the morning meetings. We've prepared a very simple checklist for the morning meetings, just the steps you need to go through. We start all meetings with a virtual high five, just to start with the right energy, and we also end each meeting with a high five. And then we go through the improvements, either improvements made or improvements or waste identified that will lead to an improvement. And then we share that with the group, and then we end the session with a high five. Just the waste list. This is just examples of our different waste lists, and set we've been doing this for around a month, and I think we have already quite some activities. We simply list a short description of what are we talking about, a short waste description. Then we also list a short solution description, because we strongly believe in the knowledge sharing part, as I already mentioned. So in many cases, we have colleagues who have an issue. We have other colleagues who have some input, and we might even have colleagues who already have a solution to a specific topic. Uh, then we keep track of the status, of course. We keep track of who's the owner, and if some co-workers need to be involved to solve, then we try to estimate what's our saving in per month in minutes. As you can see in these examples, we still have some blank ones, which are of course related to some of the ones we've not yet solved, but also some of the solved ones where we've not yet you could say quantified the saving. But of course, that's something we also want to do. We want to also to end at a point where we identify or point out the improvement of the week or of the month, also to have a little bit fuss around this, and to share that with the other teams from other countries or from other sub-regions as well. Then we also discuss the different waste types, trying to be also to have that as a knowledge transfer element, by shortly discussing the waste types of the different items we identify. As mentioned, the meetings are of maximum 15 minutes. It's perfectly fine if we only spend 10. But if we don't spend more than 15 minutes, and then we continue whenever we have the next meeting, of course. Our experience so far with having, you could say this for the morning meetings for around a month, that is, we see a very high level of engagement. Myself, I was a little bit, I would not say concerned, but very interesting to see how people would take this on board, because we are also stressing out that this is definitely not because what we're doing today is not that we're not doing our best because everybody is doing their best, but this is simply to see where can we continuously improve and learn to see the small improvement points. But people have been really engaged. I'm facilitating in the startup phase our teams in Denmark and in Iceland. I'm very happy to see the high engagement. I'm very happy to see the high level of knowledge sharing, which was really an element we hope to see, and that we strongly believe in value creation. We see already a lot of good ideas. I think we have quite some meetings where we spent the full 15 minutes and not been able to cover, also just continuing next meeting with what was in the backlog, so to speak. And then we sense also that this is definitely supporting a you could say teamwork or team feeling within the teams across the different sites we are having. Recommendation from where we are right now, that is when it comes to the change, you could say, which for our part is the cultural change about creating a culture of continuous improvements. There, our recommendation is definitely to focus on the small incremental improvements. Also good that you have some larger projects, but definitely our recommendation as a starting point is focus on what you can do yourself, or what you can do within your own team, that does not require resources or time from colleagues in other functions. That should not be the starting point. The starting point should be what can you basically solve yourself, or within your co-worker in your own team. Requirements. Our recommendation related to requirements, that is focus and time to identify and to deliver the improvement that is definitely needed. That is to have some training, to have some basic training, to have a common language. And then it's, of course, it's also a requirement that you have the courage to identify waste and to share waste that you have identified. That's also something that is required. And then related to engagement, management support is needed. That's for sure. Teamwork is needed, and then trust is needed as well. You need to have trust within your teams in order to be successful, to share knowledge and to share your improvement points. That's at least our learnings so far. Questions?
Yeah, Morten, thanks a lot for this. We don't have many questions on the chats, but you can also just, but I assume you can also unmute and ask questions. If not, you can at least put them in the chat and we will discuss them. There is one about if you can share the checklist, Morten. I don't know if you want to do that or how that would be possible, but yeah, you can maybe take a picture of the screen and just then, if you want, with your phone, then you can see what it is. But Morten, I have a question for you. Yeah, okay. There's a question here. What was the biggest waste identified through the whole process so far?
So far, the biggest identified waste was actually in the pilot project we did, which is related to what we call the POC process, and that's a finance terminology, percentage of completion, where you calculate your revenue percentage of your work in progress, so to speak, and that was related to that process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But my question was a little bit also on this thing. Okay, I know a little bit the process, but I'm not in there daily, so I really don't know actually how you do it. But if I understand it right, you are not so driven by tools, so to say. But the sense that I get is that you managed to turn on the lights of all the individuals, so you get a lot of ideas into the pool, and I think that is one of the most strongest things that we can do with Lean is just to get all the creativity and all the ideas that everybody has, and I think that's really impressive. Do you agree? Or
I fully agree. I fully agree. We of course, as I said, we find it important that you have a common language, but we have you could also see that from presentation, a relatively or a very condensed knowledge transfer part. So we really focus on creating the environment, creating the engagement, creating the motivation for coming up with all the good ideas that exist. We have so many good people with a lot of knowledge. So we really want to bring that into play, to come up with the good ideas, create an environment where you feel inspired to bring on the good ideas that you can share with your colleagues. You can help your colleagues, you can help yourself, you will receive help in order to improve your daily work. So yes, fully.
There are some questions here about did you track the cost, or did you, is that the focus that you have, or how do you go about that?
No, so to speak. Of course, we've tracked the cost, but we're not measuring. You could say the cost against the benefit. We strongly believe that the payback time is very short from what we have been doing. So we're not we've not made a cost benefit, so to speak.
Yeah, this is a classical dilemma. If I'm allowed to just also answer it, of course, in Lean, we want to understand the impact we are having on our organizations, but it's a thin line, because if your only focus is cost, you might end up in a place where you don't want to end up implementing lean. Then it becomes all about the projects and the tools, but not about creating the right culture. So it's a tricky thing. Or here's another one, because you have been doing this for about a year now, or a little over a year.
Yes.
Do you feel it's the same enthusiasm, or do you feel it's getting more or less, or how do you sense?
I definitely sense the enthusiasm is increasing. I think I would say starting off the morning meetings has been really good. I think people really appreciated the training. We did a survey as well, which also proved that people are really interested in learning new things, in continuous improvements. And so I think we are seeing and definitely an increase in the engagement as we have started. It's definitely not dropped. When we did the preparations, then of course we also discussed it with some colleagues, and we have also, just to be fair and open, I think it's like in all companies, probably someone who are more skeptical than others, because this is also a change implementing this.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of changes is going on, and this is a change. So some has been skeptical, but that's where I'm really happy to see the engagement in the morning meetings, because you could be concerned if there will just be quiet and nothing on the waste list, and then you would need to really to push people. But that's not the case, and that's probably where I'm most happy to see this, that people are really engaged and motivated to do this. And secondly, I think what we also see as an added value, and that I think is also affecting people, that is really the knowledge sharing, that the connection to colleagues, because now after COVID, where remote work and so on, then this is also another way to connect and to discuss improvements.
Mm-hmm. I think we are a little bit maybe on time, but maybe just if you can have a very short answer to my final question. I often get the question, how is it to work with finance people on lean? But I want to flip that around and say, okay, you are a finance guy, and all of you are finance people. How does lean present itself to you? What are the things that you see when you get introduced to this?
Yeah, I would say the first reaction of some is saying, okay, but lean isn't that more to a production manufacturing environment where it's originating from, but then by simply focusing on the continuous, on the incremental improvements, the 2-second lean, then people are focusing on the daily work and the daily routines and the Excel files that they're working with, or whatever it is. So I think they are actually focusing on their own tools, like if they were within manufacturing, which is really what we hope to see, I would say. So I would say definitely positive.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks a lot, Martin. I think we are done with the time, so I think the main stage is waiting to close the whole thing. So thanks a lot, Martin, and thanks a lot to you guys who connected in and watched this.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.